Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ready, Set, Thrive. I am your host, Stacey Soleil. This week, I'm very excited to have a special guest on. We are focusing the last couple weeks on products, on something that's cutting edge that will give you the latest and greatest technology as it relates to real estate. And so this week, we have the founder of HomeEgg, Daniel O'Toole. So Daniel, welcome to Ready, Set, Thrive. So glad that you're joining us today.
Thank you, Stacey. It's great to be here. It's great to join your audience and be able to share a bit more about our work with HomeEgg.
Awesome. So a lot of folks that are going to be coming across this video, whether they're joining our live stream or watching the rebroadcast, might be thinking, what is HomeEgg? So I'm going to, instead of trying to tell everybody what I think it is, let's have you kind of start off and kind of give us a little bit of background on yourself and on this product that you've developed.
Yeah, sure. So that's a great place to start. And I think that the best way to explain it is, probably like so many consumer products out there, HomeEgg was born from just a personal problem. It was a problem that I was having. I bought a home. And, within a year or two after, I was struggling to understand what my financial position was in my home. And, make no mistake, it is my largest financial asset.
Yeah.
I have stocks and 401ks and all that. And there's a lot of great tech out there to help me stay on top of that. But when it came to my home, I was, on an Excel sheet, which was a mess. Zillow had control of my home value.
Mm-hmm.
The bank statements were limiting the visibility into how I was paying off my mortgage.
Right.
My home improvement information was on an Excel sheet and on invoices. And so I said, the whole point to this started from just, let's do this better. Let's get everything centralized into a single platform and go from there. So that's where it started. And just quickly on my background, I've actually come from corporate and commercial real estate.
Oh, okay.
I did a lot of corporate and commercial real estate advisory work in my past, particularly in the area of real estate technology. And so, I was sort of, as I was thinking about this problem, I was leveraging the experience I had on the commercial and corporate side as well.
Very cool. So would you say, because I don't know, one of the things that I notice is a lot of times the consumer, like you said, this is the biggest, investment of your life most of the time. But a lot of times folks don't take the time to figure out or manage those assets very well. And is that one of the reasons that you were compelled to build this, was to empower the homeowner to take control over what's happening with their investment?
Yeah. And that was really a big part of it, right? So, if you think of the way consumer behaviors are today towards their home, at the point of transaction, when you buy your house, our behavior has always been in the past to just deal with things reactively.
Yeah.
And 10, 20, 30 years from now, we sell it and we see some financial outcome from that, which is good.
Hopefully. Yeah.
But the reality is that there's all these financial outcomes that are occurring while you own your home. Everything from, when you buy home insurance, on the trade-offs between the home improvement and renovation projects that you make. Do you refinance? When is the best time to refinance? Even down to property taxes. I get my property tax bill and I just stuff it in the drawer. But
you're not alone.
So. And I don't have the one from last year to compare against. So I'm just like, okay, well, that's my taxes.
Right.
The reality is that if you can compare and contrast what was your previous to this year, well, you know what? Maybe it's time to file an appeal. and to challenge the assessment or to challenge the tax rate increase, for whatever, would serve, I guess, serve whatever you disagreed with.
Right.
But so when you put all that together, it's this series of outcomes that do show up every month on how you manage your home, your broader personal finances. And so that's what we're trying to do is to give homeowners that monthly, quarterly, annual visibility into how their home's performing.
So now this, sounds a little bit complicated. If I was somebody who wasn't used to staying on top of my finances and I didn't do the spreadsheets like you, which, by the way, I love spreadsheets, but I know a lot of people don't. So this might sound a little bit complicated. Now, from what I have learned about your product, you do have some convenience features that make it easy for the consumer to use. Can we talk a little bit about these convenience features so that we don't lose anyone with like, this sounds like hard work and I don't like hard work, right?
Yeah, no, and that's great. I mean, one of the things that we try to do is to simplify it wherever possible. And so, I think that the best example of how we've done this and how we've made it ultra easy for the user is in how you set up your home profile. And I will say, candidly, when we launched our beta, we had a long process for the users and it was cumbersome. And we realized that, that's something we have to streamline. And so now we have it down to 3 steps to build your home profile. The very first thing that you see and the very first thing that you get is your home value.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the ability to override it if you don't like what you see, when we can talk a little bit more about the home value piece. But then the next thing is, then the second step is you just validate some purchase information relating to your home. And then the very last step is you put in the very basic elements of your mortgage, and that's it. Now, okay, you can do more once you get into your dashboard. You can put your home improvement projects in. You can put your actual mortgage payments in. You can do these other things, but at the absolute minimum, by doing those 3 simple steps, you will get an accurate read of what your home equity position is. And number 2, it effectively goes on autopilot from there, and we send you every month a readout of what your new home equity position is, along with everything that goes with that, your home value, your mortgage balance, etc. So literally in 3 minutes, you can have your home completely on autopilot and have a infinitely much better control over how your home is performing financially.
That sounds fantastic. Now, I know that there are other products out there that are doing something similar, yet maybe different. And I'd like to, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about that, because I'm a big fan of understanding differences between different products out there without naysaying any of them, because I think everything has its own value in and of its own way. But many realtors may be, or even homeowners who are watching, may be familiar with the likes of HomeBot. Can you maybe share with us how your product differs from that of HomeBot, and where you see yourself having maybe a little bit of a competitive advantage, if you will?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, certainly there is other home management solutions out there. And, we do see value. I mean, they were, kind of leading the way in some ways. And so, we definitely respect all the work they've done. But I think one of the points of difference with HomeEgg is that it's free. It's a free, so it's a free tool for consumers, But by the same token, it's a free tool for realtors or lenders or other real estate service providers. And what that means is that, like the HomeBot solution, HomeBot, it serves the purpose to help the consumer to understand what their financial position is in their home. But the realtor or the lender is also CC'd on the email notifications that go out about a particular user's home. And so effectively, the realtor is monitoring the consumer's home for them, and bringing to attention different opportunities. And so that's good. But, HomeEgg effectively has the same capability built right into it.
Is that right?
It's a collaborative platform. So, so I'm just, I was a realtor a long time ago. And, if I were still a realtor, I would take HomeEgg to every customer and to every prospect that I have. And I would say, here, use this. And then I would periodically touch base with them to say, hey, how's your HomeEgg account working out? Where do you see, how do you feel your home value has been performing? How's it going with your mortgage payoff? And use the information within HomeEgg as a tool to drive meaningful conversations with your customers and build those long-term relationships.
Okay. So you don't get bogged down by tons and tons of notifications on, let's say that I have, 100 clients in my pipeline and, I'm not getting 100 notifications every month on updates on all these different people's,
Right. That's right.
Financials, et cetera.
In some ways, it's more targeted, right?
Yeah.
It's more targeted, and I think the other thing too is that it's less direct in the sense that one of the things that I think realtors always struggle with is showing their customers that they're a value add partner, right? Not just a transaction specialist. Customers want more than that, and if customers start to get a sense that your realtor has some kind of edge over you because they know more about your home than you do, then I feel like the customer might start to, sort of shy away a little bit, But I think with HomeEgg, what you can do is the realtors, you're not going to be CC'd on all of the user's information, but you are going to have a platform to go back to them and have that conversation. That's really what it's about. You want to have that next conversation. You want to get invited over for coffee, knowing that there may not be a prospective transaction coming around the corner, but next thing you know, that customer refers you over to 2 or 3 others. So.
Right. So it's a matter of providing a value added tool to the consumer, because like you said, it's really important to make sure that the consumer feels that they are an equal in the process. And because like you said, when it becomes unbalanced and when somebody feels that they're completely dependent on you and they're clueless, they might start to have some sense of mistrust and feel like maybe transparency won't be as evident. And so when you have a piece of technology that empowers for both partnerships to be able to work well together and empower the process for a solid decision making on both sides, that's probably going to make for a better end result.
That's right. And just to add before we move on is that I think it's a cool tool to build trust with your customer.
For sure.
Right. So.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I think it's important to, and we talk about this a lot with various guests, whether that's real estate professionals that have been in the industry for a long time and have achieved great success, or other technology founders like yourself, where the reoccurring theme is building consumer trust and bringing strong value to the consumer. And I think it's really fantastic that we are finding solutions in today's PropTech, FinTech worlds where everything is coming together in a consumer-centric manner. And it's not trying to one up on anybody. And empowering the consumer is probably the smartest thing we have done as an industry. So
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so that being said, I think we've talked a lot about, what HomeEgg can do and how it compares to other tools out there. As far as you were talking a little bit about, there are some collaborative type measures. What are some of the collaborative features that you have integrated?
So yeah, okay. The collaborative thing or elements within the solution. So we introduced it's effectively the social dialogue panel. And so what users can do is they can interact with each other. It's not quite as robust as what you get with Nextdoor, but it's a very similar concept where we want to leverage this idea of the power of loose connections between our users, where a user can, if they're in South Carolina and they need, or just moved to South Carolina and they need a referral to, a plumber or to whatever service, they can ask that, and other users can refer service providers to them. Or if they just have a question to say, hey, my ceiling fan it came out of sync. How do I fix this thing? You can jump on. So, I know that there are other places for those conversations, but slowly we're starting to see our users engage more with each other.
Right. And I mean, anytime you're building a product that, is providing the answers, like you said, if you're able to take a look at, okay, where can I actually do some home improvements? It would make sense to then also say, okay, well, instead of navigating somewhere else, I can just tap in right here and, get some resources that direction. I was curious when you were saying that your platform is free for the consumer, free for the real estate professional, free for anyone to use. I have a tricky question. How does the site monetize if there's no pay model? It's a freemium model. Help me understand that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, we have deprioritized the monetization of this. And what our goal is to build an awesome platform that homeowners use and love. If we do that and we do that well, this is kind of the Google model, which is you can find a way to monetize it. But right now, our goal is just to get it out into the market, get people using it, get people engaging with it. There's always opportunities to introduce whether an ad services type scenario, or to bring in marketplace type opportunities for the users. That's things that we're looking at, but it's just not a priority right now.
So, I mean, if you're the consumer, this is a good time to jump in because, it's definitely free right now. So that's a good thing, right? So jump in while you can. It sounds like.
That's it. Yeah, it's free. But to that point, we do expect that we would always have it free for the consumers. We don't see that to change necessarily, but I think some of the monetization things might come to play as we try to, because this is actually a worthwhile point, is that in addition to just giving valuable financial insights about your home, the next step for this is then to connect the consumer out into the consumer finance ecosystem.
Okay.
So when it is time to refinance, right, to maybe explore what those options are, that you have a path and a channel to understand what your options are in the market, to understand where you can find the best refinance scenario, the best home insurance scenario. So we do want to connect the consumer to the ecosystem. And so that's really where the monetization would come in down the road.
Okay, that makes sense. But for the time being, you don't have. So if I'm the homeowner or I'm the real estate professional that's referring this product out, one of the things that it's not necessarily an issue, but sometimes some folks haven't wanted to use other platforms because they felt beholden to, well, if I use this now, I have to work with this lender, or I have to, So with this product, that's not the case. You're not going to be pinpointed specifically.
That's correct. 100% true. Yep.
So, I mean, that in and of itself might be a huge value point for some folks, just because, I don't know about you, but with COVID especially, I think it's really caused me to take better care of my finances and to kind of look inward a little bit more carefully and to stay on top of things. And so I think this is a great time for a tool like this to, especially one that's, free, thank you, to help organize and prioritize how you're managing your assets,
Yeah. And just to pick up on that exact point, the COVID scenario for so many homeowners, it's a frightening time, particularly if you just bought your home. And there was a stat that I came across, I'd have to go back to who it was, but that there was a 66% of new, I don't know how they define new, but new homeowners were very fearful that they were going to be upside down on their home.
Yeah.
Right. And they're just coming into this home ownership cycle, and they have this major asset on their hands, and they're going to bed at night and they're fearful that they might be upside down. So, HomeEgg is a powerful tool to help either manage the risks of owning your home, which might be the case now for a lot of homeowners, or, in better times to manage the upside of it as well.
Well, I would assume that it's going to give you the insights so that you can, maybe manage how you're utilizing your money in a different way, so that you maybe get closer to that payoff, or slow it down, or whatever the case may be. So, I mean.
Yeah. Or do you do you think twice now about taking equity out to go fund college tuition?
Right.
Or, those decisions. So that's right. Those notifications that come in once a month with your equity report are pretty valuable just from a peace of mind perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I find that fascinating. I mean, that's just, at least for me personally, and a lot of my colleagues and friends will attest to this. It comes up in my conversations a lot, is, investments and how you're managing your assets, and how do you build your assets, and all of those types of things. So I think it's fantastic and timely. And I'm not 100% sure. So can you provide clarification? Now, is HomeEgg available across the country? Is it in limited audience, or?
No, it's nationwide.
Okay.
And we have the capacity I'm cautious a little of the actual number, but it's 90 or 100, maybe even more million homes across the U.S. that can instantly get a readout of what their home financial position is.
Very, very cool. So that's pretty exciting. So now, were you involved in the building process, or were you the idea guy?
Both.
Really?
This was as bootstrap of a ground up startup as it really gets. I designed everything. Every word you see, I wrote it. Now we have an awesome tech team that brought it all to life. And I didn't have much to do with that.
Okay.
But I did have the idea, and I did all the mock-ups for it. And, so
it's become your baby for sure.
Bit of my baby, but we do have an awesome tech team that knows their way around and can pilot things quickly, can get new features rolled out quickly. So that's been exciting too, to work with them. So
that's very cool. Now, do you have some other products that are part of your portfolio of services? I thought I remembered seeing that you had a few other tricks up your sleeve. Is that true?
Not yet. But the HomeEgg platform could be leveraged in other ways, in the sense that you could take an instance of it and pretty quickly turn it into a property management tool, like a commercial grade property management tool. So, if you had an investment portfolio of residential properties, you could, in theory, take a copy of it.
So this is something a commercial real estate professional would be interested in kind of sharing this as well with their investor clientele?
Yeah, and monitoring just the performance of their portfolio. I know that there's a lot of great tools out there on the commercial asset management side. But certainly we could hedge ourselves that way as well at some point.
Well, again, at the moment, for free. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always a fan of, during these uncertain times, just, utilizing platforms that will allow you to, take control of your assets and your investments, as well as not necessarily cost you any more overhead. So, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me, right?
Well, one of the things that we set out for with this is it's just a philosophical thing that we don't think consumers should pay for tech. And whether that's directly as a consumer, or if you're a realtor trying to leverage tech to help you with your customers, either way, tech these days is fairly cheap, and there's other ways to monetize it without. And actually, one last point on the free thing. It was a big part of our decision to keep it that way because we wanted to have equitable access for all homeowners, right? So, we don't want it to be an economic barrier to leverage HomeEgg as well.
Right.
We're huge supporters of the military. We're huge supporters for single moms that are working hard. And so we don't want economics to come in from stopping you from keeping a pulse on how your home's performing.
So I think a great place to kind of, tie a bow on this is, can you give me some examples of feedback you've received from actual users of the platform, as far as like some of the feedback you've received after doing this? Because I'm sure after all of the, time and effort you put into this, I don't know about you, but for me, anytime I do something and then the person that was my targeted audience comes back and says, wow, that made a difference. It kind of powers you to keep going and wanting to thrive and do more. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And
yeah. Well, and actually just today, before this call, I was on another call with someone, and in fact, they were a user, and they said that it was everything they expected it to be, and they were impressed with the organization of it. They were impressed with the ease and the simplicity of the use of it. And so, examples like that, we've gotten others as well, but that's the absolute, literally, probably, 45 minutes ago or an hour ago, that was the feedback. And you don't always get feedback where it feels authentic, right?
Right.
And this was as authentic as it gets. And I said, well, hey, look, that's music to our ears.
Yeah. That always does. I mean, it does help you to all that blood, sweat, and tears you put into something when you know that you've been able to bring value and help somebody through something. Like you said, this was born out of something that you saw as a need. And as a person who, purchased their home and had too many spreadsheets everywhere and was trying to figure it all out, knowing that you've created simplicity and ease of use for others is probably very rewarding for you. So
that's right. It is. And, our expectations are, we don't expect people to live in HomeEgg like they do in Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Well, we really probably shouldn't be doing those things anyway, but we do. Yeah.
But, HomeEgg is a place to keep a pulse on your home.
Yeah.
As that, whatever that means to you, right? It could be on a daily basis, or it could be on a monthly basis. But so for that reason, I think we don't overwhelm the user. and we keep it simple and give them the option about how they want to engage with the platform.
Very cool. Well, I like it. And I'm pretty excited. So those of you that are watching the live stream, or if you're watching the re-recording, you'll see that I have the URL scrolling through here, and it's just homeegg.com. And go ahead and go check out the site, download. Now, is it an app? Is it a, build a profile? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, it's build a profile.
Okay.
Is to do it on desktop, although it is fully mobile enabled.
Okay, you can do either or.
You can do either or, and we are working on building a native app that you would be able to download. But for the near term, the best way to do it is either desktop or on your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much every time I'm doing any kind of a financial anything, I find desktop for any company, just so you know, it always seems to be easier to do it that way anyway. And most of your information is easier to type in versus, I don't know about you guys, but I am so not a millennial, and I'm not very good at doing the finger typing on my phone thing. So yeah, whatever. I can type really fast though. So yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing and for, for creating something that would help empower the homeowner, and also for all the real estate professionals that are watching. It's great to have tools to be able to introduce to help strengthen the relationships that you have with the consumer, empower them to be a part of the decision-making process and to feel empowered by the entire journey. So thank you for creating something that kind of levels the playing field and creates, that open dialogue. It's fantastic.
Well, no, thank you so much. And it was great to be able to connect with you again and talk with your audience. Thank you for the opportunity. And thanks for the ability to share more about our work with HomeEgg.
My pleasure. Okay, well, thanks everybody, and have a wonderful week until we see you next time. Okay. Make sure you're ready, set, thrive all week long. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks, Stacey. Bye.